All right, we begin this morning with a devastating earthquake in the Middle East. This is a live look at the scene in Turkey right now, where a magnitude 7.8 earthquake hit early this morning as people were sleeping. The quake struck central Turkey as well as northwest Syria, collapsing apartment blocks. The latest death toll is reported to be at least 1,700 people. It was so powerful that it was felt as far away as Cyprus and Lebanon. And you see their crews racing to rescue a young child pulled from the rubble in Aleppo, Syria. More than 700 of the dead are in that country, which is already grappling with a years-long humanitarian crisis as well as cholera. The United Nations stating that the quake will lead to enormous suffering. Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister Melanie Joly tweeting this out, quote, "A devastating earthquake has hit Turkey and Syria, claiming the lives of more than 1,000 people and injuring many more. Our thoughts are with the families of the victims and those still searching for their loved ones." Meantime, U.S. President Joe Biden also offering his support, saying, quote, "I'm deeply saddened by the loss of life and devastation caused by the earthquake in Turkey and Syria. I've directed my team to continue to closely monitor the situation in coordination with Turkey and provide any and all needed assistance." Joining me now is Jasper Mortimer. Jasper is a freelance journalist joining us from Ankara, Turkey. Jasper, thanks a lot for giving us your time. I really appreciate it. Can you give us a sense here of what the latest is right now, what you experienced where you are?
Well, Turkey has suffered two earthquakes today, and the second one was a separate quake. The seismologists have made it quite clear that the second earthquake wasn't an aftershock of the first. The first earthquake was at 4:17 local time, that's before dawn, of 7.7 magnitude. The second was this afternoon at 1:24 p.m. At 7.6 magnitude. And the first one seems to have been by far the more devastating one. That was the one which shook buildings all the way down to Damascus in Syria and Beirut in Lebanon. The second one was less severe, but it shook Ankara as well. The light in the lounge from which I'm speaking to you wobbled. So far, no casualties have been given from the second quake, but it did bring down 3 buildings. The latest death toll for Turkey is 1,121 dead and 7,634 wounded. But those figures will rise and probably rise significantly because the Natural Disaster Agency says that 2,834 buildings were wrecked, either concertinaed, completely collapsed, or rendered inhabitable. The destruction is massive. You know, the quake opened crevices in the ground, including one in the runway at Antakya Airport. It's going to take weeks to clear the rubble from these nearly 3,000 buildings, and many bodies will be found underneath the rubble. That's the hard truth. The good news is that about 2,500 people have been rescued. An hour ago, 2 children were pulled out alive in Malatya, where it is snowing. And the authorities said that 3 more people were alive in the same building. The bad news is that it's very cold in southeastern Turkey at the moment, and there is a risk of people under the rubble freezing to death.
I was going to ask you in terms of the conditions that they're having to deal with. We know emergency crews, of course, rushing to as many scenes as they possibly can to try and search for survivors. Talk to us about those challenges. And we know, of course, calls for the international community to help as well. And that call is being answered.
Yes, look, Turkey is very good at responding to earthquakes. As soon as I heard of the quake this morning, I turned on the television and I saw that dozens of rescue workers were already clambering over the concertinaed buildings. And they went into the natural disasters headquarters, and you saw, you know, this was way before dawn. Scores of people in the control room manning the phones and looking at their computer screen. In addition to that, on a citizen level, you know, the whole country rallies around the stricken city or town Municipalities on the other side of Turkey will send firemen to work in rescuing people, and they'll send soup kitchens to feed the people who've been rendered homeless. But Turkey is poor at enforcing its building codes to make sure that when an earthquake happens, as few people as possible are killed. The authorities are poor at forcing people to evacuate an unsafe building. This was highlighted in the earthquake in Izmir in 2020, when two of the four buildings that collapsed completely. It was revealed afterwards that building inspectors had found them to be unsafe, but those inspection reports had not been enforced.
So as a result of that and what you're saying there, I'm sure, and of course, things are very, very early stages right now. The focus is, of course, being on rescue efforts and doing their best that they can to get people to safe places. The question, of course, of the safety of buildings and looking, I guess, ahead to see what more needs to be done in order to keep people safe in the next time this happens, considering, of course, the area that this happened in. My understanding is it's right there on the fault line.
Yeah, look, unfortunately, there's a web of fault lines all across Turkey. Where today's quakes happened, one has two fault lines actually almost meeting. There have been quakes in that area before. In 2011, there were a couple of quakes weeks apart in Wan, which is a couple of 100 kilometers northeast of today's quakes, which killed 600 people. Having two quakes in 9 hours, 10 minutes, as we did have today, it frightens people. It makes them jittery. And it frightens the authorities as well. In Ankara, where we felt the second quake, the government has told all civil servants in the ministries to go home. In the southeast, schools have been closed for a week. You send people home when you're scared of being held responsible in case there's another earthquake and the building comes down.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you mentioned they're feeling that quake where you are right now. Can you give us a sense of what that was like? Where you are right now, did you feel it?
I actually didn't.
Okay.
But my son, bless him, pointed out that the light in the room was wobbling. And he felt it because he was sitting on his chair and he felt his chair move backwards. He hadn't moved, but the earthquake had moved him.
Right. How does this compare to what you've experienced before in Turkey? Is this one, would you say, one of the largest?
Certainly, and I've lived in this country for 15 years now, and I've never had two earthquakes, so close to each other. My fear about this is that, the southeast of Turkey is the Kurdish stronghold, and there's a lot of resentment among Kurds towards the central government in Ankara. And when I reported an earthquake, the earthquake in Wan in 2011, the message I got from the people on the ground was that the government's response had been inadequate, and it was inadequate because the people of that area, were Kurds. Now, when I came back to Western Turkey, they said, no, we opened our hearts. We sent volunteers. We sent trucks loaded with blankets and food to those areas, which is true. But the Kurds felt that they had been discriminated against. And the government admitted that the response had been inadequate in the beginning, in the early stages. Today, a person down in the southeast, in a town called Kırıkhane in Hatay province, posted a video of how the quake had wreaked destruction in his town. And the video ended with a person lying face down on the floor of a balcony. And he said the person was dead, and that the natural disaster agency workers were nowhere to be seen in his town. Now, I hope that feeling isn't widely held.
Hmm.
If it is, then President Erdogan will be in trouble because he's facing presidential and parliamentary elections in mid-May. That's only 3 months away.
Right.
So he's got to deliver on his response to this earthquake.
This is an unbelievable situation, Jasper, and we really appreciate you giving us your time to bring us up to speed on the latest of what's happening here. We're so happy that you and your family are safe and are well, and we hope that you will remain so. We'll certainly be keeping in touch. Jasper Mortimer is a freelance journalist joining us from Ankara in Turkey. Jasper, thank you again for this.
I thank you.